name is Heather McG, and this is the Happily Never After, a podcast that explores how life's endings can lead to a personal breakthrough. Because sometimes the end is just the beginning. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Happily Never After, a podcast where we explore how life's endings can lead to a new beginning. Now, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate, review, follow us wherever you are listening or watching the show today. And my guest today, I'm so excited, is Denise Hendricks. Denise and I worked together many years ago because we were both Oprah Show producers a world away so many years ago, specifically Oprah's Book Club, which was so fun.
Yes.
You may not know this, but Oprah's Book Club, the group that does that is very small. It was me, Denise, and our producer, Jill Adams. It's a little group, a little train that could. Anyway, we worked together on that. Denise is so amazing at what she does, but she is also a wonderful human who made me laugh a lot because she is also very hilarious, who taught me a lot about producing and a lot about life. And I'm so excited that she is here. Denise is an award-winning television producer. She has had an incredible career and writer, but the title she enjoys most is mom. She has been in the news and entertainment industry for several years, producing for CNN, MSNBC, The Oprah Winfrey Show, the OWN Network, HLN, ABC, BET's late night show, The Monique Show, and for NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox. Basically, if you have ever watched a TV show, Denise has probably been in there somehow, some way, at some point over the last few years. She is currently the supervising producer of CNN Headlines, the streaming channel for huge cable news giant CNN. So, Denise, I am so happy to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you for having me, Heather. I'm so excited to be here today with you.
I know. I'm excited to catch up and talk about your story here because there were little glimmers of this way back when we worked together. So, I think this is really... I think it's really cool. Some of the people that come on this podcast are people I know personally. And so I was like a little bit a part of their story, or not a part of their story, but like I'm aware of it. And so it's really neat to see where things have gone. So let's dive right in. I want to start with a big question to talk about what we're here to talk about today. Can you kind of describe what did your journey to motherhood look like?
Sure. So my journey to motherhood has been an interesting one. So I will say that in my late early 40s, well, just backing up really quick, I was married and then divorced, but did not have kids. And then in my late 30s, early 40s, I was like, oh my God, I really want to be a mother, and time is ticking. As so many women, you find themselves in this position, like, what am I going to do? And I actually went down the road of kind of like exploring doing in vitro fertilization, and just, doing this by myself. But my egg reserve was too low. And so basically the specialist said, you can still have a child, but you would have to do an egg donor and a sperm donor. So I would have to do both. And they would just implant. And I was like,
a lot.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that. So I started researching other options, and one of them was adoption. So started researching adoption, and basically I went down that road, and that led me to motherhood, the adoption route.
And what you're describing, I think, is something that a whole lot of women went through. I went through IVF myself, and it is actually... It's kind of funny. Once you start like getting into it, you uncover all the other women that are going through it. Because it's not like we go around with a billboard on our faces, but it actually happens to so many women that want to be moms, and there's a journey to get there. How long did it take you? Like, I know for me, I was always like, I don't ever want to do IVF. And then push came to shove, and I was like, actually, it's fine. And like kind of figuring what actually works for you. How did you approach figuring out what was going to be right for you?
First of all, I think when I'm a woman of faith, and so there was a lot of prayer involved. And I think after the numerous, because there were a lot of doctor's appointments and a lot of going back and forth. And actually my doctor also wanted me to go to a therapist too, just to make sure. Is this what you really want? So I would say it was about a year and a half of that. And then when we got to this point of here's what it is actually, and here's your options, I just kind of made it up in my mind that I'm going to go another route. I just made it up in my heart and made it up in my mind. And then I started actually researching adoption and started talking to other friends and family that I knew that had adopted as well. So I could understand kinda like, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journeys, even with the in vitro, everybody's journey is different, and I knew that the adoption journey would be different for me too, but at least was able to talk to enough people, married and single, who had done it to form some opinion in my mind of like, "Yes, this is definitely what I wanna do." I was dating someone at the time, but it wasn't serious enough to, like, involve this person in the
Yeah.
process. They were aware, but and supportive of me, but not, not something they wanted to do, be a part of.
Right.
So it really was a journey that I really kept kinda close to my heart. And probably, like, a handful of people in my family knew, of course, my brother, and then a couple family, aunts and uncles, relatives, and then some close friends. Like, there was less than 10 people that knew and my job, and that was it.
Adoption is really kind of an interesting thing, because
Mhm,
we've talked about this. Denise knows this, but many of my siblings are adopted. So
mhm.
I've been, on the sidelines, not as a parent, but on the sidelines as a sibling, been through this
Yes.
process many times. Adoption's interesting because it's one of those things where there's an ending and a beginning happening all at the same time.
That
You've been a mom now for a number of years at this point. Kind of what is your perspective on that aspect of adoption?
so, it is an ending and a beginning because for the mother, for the birth mom especially, it is an ending for her. It's almost like a sacrifice. She's giving up her child, and she has a reason for giving up her child. So it's almost kind of bittersweet, you know, because it's kind of a sad time for her, but then a happy time for you. So you kind of feeling all of the emotions. I was actually able to be there for Luke's birth with her, and I got to cut the umbilical cord and stayed overnight in the hospital with her that first night. And so, we had gotten once we were matched, it happened very quickly. We were matched, and then 2 months later, she gave birth, and she knew they were gonna induce her because she was having some complications. So, she was like, "Hey, the doctor's saying they're gonna induce me tomorrow," or whatever. So, I had to scramble. I was in Atlanta, she was in Pennsylvania. Get to Pennsylvania, go through the whole thing. But being able to be there for the actual experience with her was a beautiful thing. And I'll just share this. So Luke was born on a Wednesday. She discharged from the hospital the very next day. And it was just the 2 of us. Like,
Yeah.
she did not have that kind of family support that, people have. It wasn't like some big party in the hospital with all these people. It really was just me. She's next day. And then but she came back to the hospital, like, that Friday. So it was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She came back to the hospital and she brought, like, a gift. So she had a gift, and she also had a letter that I will give to Luke later to read. He's aware of it, that kind of explains why she gave him up, and it was very touching and emotional, and, for him, it'll be, something that it's hard to comprehend now. He's aware that he's adopted. He knows that he has a mother and father in another part of the United States. He'll ask questions about them from time to time, and I can tell him what I know. I'm actually still in contact with his birth mom. We communicate like once every couple of months via email. I'm just giving her updates on what he's doing, how he's doing, first day of school, Halloween, baptism, whatever and then the holidays, of course, birthdays. So I keep her up to date on, how he's doing, how he's growing, how he's progressing, which is good. But yes, it was an ending for her. It was a beginning for me. So,
Yeah.
and now it's 9 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember you announcing bringing Luke home, and it was so
Yeah.
exciting, so happy. Now
Yes.
now that Luke is 9, what kinds of questions does he ask? Or does he ask questions about, where he came from and the experience? I think this could be helpful to other people out there that are thinking about adopting, or
Mhm.
maybe they're a little earlier in the process than you are. What
Mhm.
kind of questions does Luke ask?
Well, he asked about his birth parents. He asked why they gave him up. He knows where he was born. He knows kind of like the beginning of the birth story because I took so many pictures. When he asked me, why they gave him up, I tell him, you know at the time, they needed help and they needed someone to take care of you because they just weren't able to take care of you in the way that they wanted to take care of you. And so they asked me if I could, take care of you, and I was so happy to take care of you and to be your mother and to raise you and introduce you to my family, which is your family, and, didn't miss a beat. So I tell them that. Now he still asks a lot. He also asks if they have siblings,
Mhm.
and he does. He does have siblings. So it's like a really complicated story that
Yeah.
he doesn't know all the details of, but I tell him, when you're older, you know, will tell you more of the story. And I said, maybe you'll get a chance to meet her one day when you're older, and then you can ask her some of these questions, yourself. But one thing I will say is I think it's really important to be open and honest. And, if you feel it in your heart, I feel like it's an early and start telling them early on. I think I started telling him his adoption story when he was like around 3 or 4. Um, just so he can have some idea. Like, he didn't really get it at first, but now he understands, Now he understands, and I wouldn't say that he feels like any different. Like, he still calls me mommy, and I mean, I'm still his primary caregiver, and he's really only known my family.
Yeah.
So, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, all of that stuff. So that's very ingrained. It's a part of his life. But I think he has a desire to, one day, like, know who they are, talk to them, and maybe even, get to know his siblings. So I feel like that will happen at some point later when he's older, not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really amazing that
Mhm.
you have a relationship there and that it's
Mhm.
really so open in that way, in a way that's been really wonderful and beautiful. That's great. I know that's not the
Mhm.
case for everybody, but I'm
Yeah.
really happy for you that that worked out for you all.
Thank you. I'm glad it worked out too.
Yeah. And that you got to be there. That's amazing. Um,
Yes.
now,
Yes,
can
and I got
you
to be there from the beginning. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really special. For a lot of people, I think a lot of people don't understand how adoption works. And it is
Yes.
different depending on the state, depending
Uh-huh.
on, sometimes people are adopting babies, sometimes they're adopting older children. And I know you can only speak for yourself, but like for you, what does the adoption process look like?
So for me, the adoption process, because I wanted to do first of all, I wanted a baby.
Hmm.
So, and then I wanted a newborn, so I knew that I was probably more than likely gonna have to go the private adoption route. Um, so at the beginning, you're going through an agency. First, I went through a nonprofit to do, like, the background check and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It was right here in Georgia, and it is a lot. Like, it's a background check, a criminal background check, a national FBI background check. It's a financial they check your financial, psychological. They have someone come to your house, like, 2 or 3 times to do home studies, and then for this particular group that I worked with, they also have you do parenting and adoption classes too. So I had to do 10 hours of that. It was kind of rigorous.
That's
Like,
a
I
lot.
know, like, most people who are having babies don't go through all this before they have to have
Right, like, if you're pregnant and having a baby, I think there's, like, a one-hour class, and that's it. There should be
Exactly.
parenting classes for all parents.
Right, for all parents. It was a lot. It was a lot, went through a lot. So once you get through that period of passing all the background checks and they make sure you're sane, and can actually take care of a child and that your home is appropriate and all of that stuff, then I picked an agency. And what I did was, because I knew I was adopting as a single woman, I picked an agency that I knew was friendly to what some people call non-traditional adoptions,
Mhm.
and that would be, single people, LGBTQ plus, couples, and so on and so forth. And actually, Heather, what I felt like it was really meant to be, you
Yeah,
know? Of course, I was praying about it, and if this is meant to be, great. If not, we'll go on. I'm fine. But it happened very fast.
right.
So the whole process for me, from start to and when I mean from when I contacted them to do the research and then start the background check to the time, I was matched with Luke's mother and then his biological mother. Then she had the baby, and then it was finalized, like, finalized by a judge. It was 11 months.
So, well, and two, whenever Luke
Well,
was
no, I take
born.
that back. Wait a minute.
Okay, okay,
14. It was 14 months.
okay.
And really, the whole background check process and all of the stuff they do, it really is dependent upon you because it's how fast you get them the information
Right.
and do the background checks and go get fingerprinted and all of that stuff, do the drug test. It's a lot of it is on you and how fast you get the information to
Now,
the agencies.
for matching, how does that work? Like, what does that process look like? And this is all to like help people that are thinking about adoption, so maybe they have more information about how the process
The
works.
particular agency that I went with is very interesting is that you are not picking the mom. The mom is picking you. So the birth mom is and it's really almost like online dating. So so basically you as a, you write a letter and do a profile and you kind of are saying why you would be a good parent. And these birth moms are looking over all these different profiles and they're looking at what you've written about your life and about how you would be a great mother or father. And they're deciding, like, I think this person is the person I want to raise my unborn child. And that's basically how it happened. So, and I was actually matched with three different people. So the first person I was matched with, we talked for a little bit. And then midway through the process, she decided that she was going to keep her baby. The second person I was matched with, she just disappeared, which sometimes this happens where you're starting to get to know them like on the phone because you don't because they could be anywhere. You're getting to know them and then they just stop communicating. So she did. She just stopped communicating, and we probably had talked for a couple months, a couple times a week, and then she just stopped communicating. And then the third person I was matched with was actually Luke's biological mother, and she was very, we clicked. Her due date, Heather, was actually the original due date. Luke was supposed to be born on my birthday. Isn't that
That's a little
crazy?
sign.
Little sign, but then he came early. So
He was like, I don't want to share a birthday with my
I don't wanna
mom.
share a birthday. Right, neither one of us do. We're both Geminis, but we did not wanna share a birthday. So that was good. So, yeah, so then I was matched with his birth mom, and then it was, like, 2 months after that, he was born, and then right away, I was able to because we were in another state, we were in Pennsylvania, you can't just leave the state right away with a baby that's not technically yours. So
Kidnapper, Denise Hendricks,
yes,
kidnapper.
exactly. So you have to wait until the state agencies clear to come back to the state. And it took about, I think I was in Pennsylvania. I was staying at an Airbnb in Pennsylvania with Luke when he was first born for about 2.5 weeks.
I bet that was a little challenging with a newborn.
2.5 weeks. Well, my cousin, thank God, she came up to help. And the family that I was staying with, I was staying actually on the top floor of a house in Pennsylvania. And the family, basically, they were like, "You can have the whole top floor." And they also had this crazy story, but they were fairly well they were both attorneys.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they're really nice house, and so they also had a, housekeeper, and the housekeeper, what she was helping, like, she would come up and check on us,
That's
make
so
sure we're
nice.
okay. Yeah, make sure the baby needed anything. It was crazy. It was like out of a movie. And then, when the couple found out that, what I was doing there, they were like, "Oh my god, we have 6-month-old grandbabies, but they don't live here, but we have this portable crib here that you can use." So they set up the crib for me before when I was bringing them home. It was crazy. It was
That's so sweet. And well, it's kind of funny, like right from the beginning, you've got a village there.
yes, right from the beginning. So that was great. It was great. It worked out. It worked out that all of that kind of started coming together, and then I was able to and then I had a friend come up and help us get back to Atlanta, with the car seat and all the baby stuff and everything I had accumulated in 2.5 weeks. And then we came back down to Georgia and then, started life.
Well, it's amazing how, you're making me laugh because 'cause I'm picturing y'all outfitting the car to get back to your home, and it's just amazing to me the amount of like, I think most people when they're having a baby, it's like, "Oh, I don't wanna have tons of stuff. I don't need lots of stuff." It doesn't matter. You're gonna end up with a lot of stuff. It's, like, out of control, and it's just like you start throwing things at the problem, like, "Maybe this swing will help them sleep." Nope, doesn't work, and then you gotta
That's
swing. I'm gonna try
right.
have
The
so much
bouncy
stuff.
jumper thing, the swing.
Yes, and you're
What
desperate.
was the thing we had? Like the little
Snuggly?
Bjorn, baby
Yes.
Bjorn.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, those things, and it's just like, I couldn't ever like, I remember when my kids were babies, I would think about it, and I would just be like, I would there's those memes about dogs, how dogs will never make it out in the wild, if they were still and I was like, I would never make it in those days before Bjorns and jumpers and swings and all of those things that we have now. Like, I think back to Little
Yes.
House on the Prairie times, I'm like, I would have never made it.
Right, never, never.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has surprised you most about being a mom? Like, I know you did your research and, you are someone who is on it about everything, but in the experience of it, what has surprised you with the most?
So, I have to say that the thing that has surprised me the most is the amount of help you need. So, I don't think people realize you really do need help with your children. You need help. You need help. You cannot do this on your own. And even, when you're married and you have a spouse, depending on the level of engagement of either of the spouses, you are going to need a good support system to help you with all aspects of, you really need the village. I mean, it's a cliche. It takes a village to raise. It really does take a village. And I would say for someone who works and likes to travel and do all this other stuff, you really need that help. And you need that help in just helping them navigate through life. The support system that you need to, help them with school and help them with their activities and making friends and, all these things that come at these different stages of their
Yeah,
lives. I think one of the most fascinating thing, and you know this too from having children, is like the changes that happens when they grow.
yeah,
Like it has really been, because you have your own life, so you grow up, right? You grow up, but when you watch someone else go from being a tiny little baby and then they're eating solid foods and then they're, potty training and
yeah,
then they're walking and then, when you watch all the stages, it really is a beautiful thing to watch the growth of a human being. And then as they start to come into their personalities and their feelings and their emotions, and then for people like you, that have more than one, then you get to see, oh, this child is like this, and this child is like, oh my God, these kids, it doesn't
these
matter if they're
children.
twins or not. They have their different personalities start to come out. And so I think it has really been, it's like the wonder of birth and then the human experience to
Yeah,
just be a part of someone's growth in the world and kind of watching my son develop and grow and, kind of formulate his own interest and this is what I want to do. And no, I don't, because, like you're like, I steer him one way and he's like, I really don't want to do karate
yeah,
anymore.
no.
Mom, I don't want to do it, but you're good at it. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I want to do this. Like he was very adamant the other day about joining the art club at school over the chess club.
You're like, well, yeah, it's kind of like, I grew up doing theater and I swear to God, I have tried so hard to steer my kids away from theater. Like,
Yeah.
no, no, no theater. It's starving artistville. And
Yes.
Denise has seen pictures of my children and it's very clear where they're headed. And
Yes.
it just like they're going to go where they're going to go. And you just
They're
have to
gonna
support it because that's who they are.
That's who they are. He was like, I want to do the art club. Mrs. Such and such is my art teacher. And she does say, and his teachers have said this over the year, like he's very focused and serious about art and he's actually really good. So she was like, he really should be in the art club. So I was like, okay, he's gonna do the art club. He wants to do the art club. It's I'm gonna let that go. You wanna be an
Are
artist?
you sure you
Fine.
don't wanna go into robotics, perhaps? Yeah, no,
I asked him if he wanted to do the robotics club at church. He was like, "No,
oh,
no, I wanna paint."
okay. Well,
Okay.
I mean, I will share this because it sounds like you've gone through this too. Something that I think has been my biggest lesson as a mom is I have learned when they have an idea, get out of the way. Like when they have
Yes.
something they want to do, something creative, and like you and I are both people who have expertise in these areas. And so then, like, I want to get in there and do it with them. I have learned mess it up. I mess it up, I ruin it, and I just need to get out of there and let them do what they're going to do and get them the crayons or the markers or whatever they need to make whatever they're making and let it be what it's going to be and just get out of the way and trust
That
their
is
instincts.
true. No, you're absolutely right. You just have to let them be. Let them be, because 'cause they're gonna create their own vision of whatever it is, and they have something in their little minds that they really wanna get across and get I mean, it's important for us to kinda, like, still steer them and guide them in the direction we need to steer them and guide them in, but yes, there's a part of parenting where you have to kinda let them figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Denise, you are a woman with a big career. You've got a big life. You've got a lot going on. What have been the biggest challenges? And I just want to recognize too, Denise and I are both sensitive to this. Women get asked these questions all the time, but it is also a real thing. So I would love to know what how do you do it? Because like I'm a divorced mom,
Mhm,
so there's a lot to it. And I would just
mhm,
love to know, how do you approach your career? Luke, I know you just moved home. Like, how do
mhm.
you handle your life?
So
You're like, "Help, I need help."
yes, so I have there's a lot of prayer and meditation that goes into how I just navigate, like, on a day to day. But then I also cannot be afraid to ask for help and to actually, form, networks of people and of help, wherever I go, whatever city. Like Luke so far has lived in here in Atlanta, in New York, and the DC area. And so everywhere that I've been, I've definitely made sure that I made, mom friends either through his school, through Cub Scouts, soccer, whatever. I'm definitely have been, just been involved so I could not only keep up with what he's doing, but also so I could make friends and create a village wherever we are. And yeah, I just really think it's important that you have people that you can lean on, that you can be honest with, that you can have those moments of like, "Oh my god, I do not know what I'm doing at all. Help me." Especially people, I have a lot of friends now who, because I started late, whose kids are in high school and college. They've been a great source for me of, you know, parenting, discipline, things that they've already been through, um, relying on them for, like, advice here and there. So, having that network and that support system wherever you are in the parenting journey, I think is just so important.
Now, and 2, what are I know for me, and again, I was in a different spot. I was in a different
Mhm,
role because I
mhm.
experienced adoption through the role of a sibling. What do you wish that more people understood about adoption? Or what are the things that you encounter that you're like, "Oh, you have no idea, and I kinda wish you did?" Whether it's someone that wants to adopt or someone that's just a regular person out there.
That's a good question. I've never been asked that question before. I think that when it comes to adoption, people have all their preconceived notions about why you're, like, not married and don't have children, which can be annoying sometimes.
I
So
can imagine. I can
yes.
imagine. I can see your face too.
Yeah, 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 but I really don't mind talking about the adoption or telling the adoption story. It doesn't bother me at all to talk about the adoption story. I think that one thing that people ask a lot about, but I do not share, is why Luke's birth mother gave him up, and it's a question that comes up a lot, and the reason why I don't share it, and there's some things that I do not share, is because there are some things I feel like are his story. And then
Yeah,
there will be a time that he will learn those things, and if he wants to share them, he can share them, and if not, then, it's his business, in the end,
yeah.
and his birth mom. So there's some things I think people dig a little too deep into, and I don't share it really to protect him. just to protect him,
Yeah.
and his story and his so he can have his own narrative about, what this all is and what this all means in the end.
Yeah, you're making me think about, and I think this, like, extrapolates out to other types of situations, like,
Mhm.
like, I'm thinking about, like, I'm from this huge family,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
think when people encounter things that they're not used to, or they can't personally relate to it, it's
Mhm.
almost, I don't know the right words for it. It's almost like they treat it like a TV show or something, and not
Mm.
like your real life where it actually matters, and it can get really frustrating. It's like, this is not a joke. This is not like Inside Edition. This is not some show you're watching. This is my actual life, just because you don't maybe understand it, and there's no way to say that nicely, so that kinda puts you in a deer in headlights position where, like, I don't know what to say, so I'm still polite, but also I don't play along with this.
Exactly.
But I just think that's really interesting. Okay,
Mhm.
so for you, what advice would you give to other adoptive parents? I think, there's a lot of things for me now that I'm grown up, and I'm thinking back to my siblings and us growing up, and I think we made a lot of mistakes in a lot of ways. In
Mhm.
our family and how we handled
Mhm.
adoption. Things that I wish we would have known. Is there anything that you wish you would have known, or big advice you would give to other adoptive parents that you think might be helpful?
Yeah, one, I think you should definitely be honest and transparent about the adoption. And I say that knowing some other adoptive parents who were not and who told their children later when they were older, like teenagers, and it
Yeah,
was not good. It was not a good scenario just because it's so long. It's such
right.
a long wave of time. So I think you should definitely find ways at appropriate stages of their, you know, as they're growing up
Yeah,
to tell them their adoption story. And there are things, I mean, you're not gonna tell them the whole thing, but I think they need to know that, you know, they have another birth mother and birth father.
yeah,
So
yes,
I think that's just really important for people to be open and transparent about. And also, it's the age that we live in. We live in an age where we share a lot of information, on social media and just period in our lives, and so I just think they're gonna find out one way or the other, whether it's from some other kid overhearing it from their parent or, from you, and it's better that it comes from you. And this is gonna sound a little strange, but actually, one thing I was able to do with, his birth mother was to turn over, like, her medical records from the
oh,
last 2
yeah,
years. It just sounds a little
yeah,
technical, but
right.
it actually was very helpful.
Yeah, it's important. It's actually really
Yeah,
important if you can
it's
get it,
very,
yeah.
very important, and I will tell you that, something I didn't think about because everything happened so fast, like, from the time I was matched from the time I started the adoption process, I said the whole thing was 14 months, the whole thing, but from the time I was actually matched with an agency to the time I was matched with his birth mom into his birth, it was about 7 months, 7 or 8 months. And so I really hadn't even researched, like, childcare providers, daycares,
Oh, mhm.
babysitters, nannies, supports, like, all of that, even I hadn't even locked in a pediatrician. Like, everything was
You had
like,
to lock that down quick when you found out.
oh my god, everything was like I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot." There's just a lot of stuff that you find out, like, as you're going along, like, "Oh, I do need to get this child a pediatrician done."
Diapers, don't forget diapers.
Right, right. All of the things. So, and then the stuff just keeps coming up at every stage, but I mean, in the end, it's been fun, and I will say, you gotta have fun. You gotta have fun, you gotta take your time because they grow up so fast. So,
Yeah,
the little things that, we've been able to do, like, okay, we were able to do this at 2 and 3 and 4, little baby swim classes, all that fun stuff you do when they're really little, and then they really do outgrow stuff, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that's for babies." Like, da, da, da. When in your mind, you're still like, "You are still my little baby." But I get it.
nope.
We can't do that anymore. You've outgrown that. Now you wanna do this, that, and the other. So, I think it's important to really, maximize that each stage that you really, and I hate to be like like our Oprah days, but you should live in the moment, and you should be present, like Eckhart Tolle would say. You have
Mindful.
present. You have to be fully engaged. Really just, really enjoy that time that you have with them because they do grow up very fast. Like,
Yeah.
they're babies and then they're in the 4th grade, you know,
Well, you
like,
posted
wanting to
pictures
join clubs and spend time with their friends and,
and
you know
say no to you about like, "Hey, can we do this?" "Nope, I
No,
refuse."
exactly.
Yeah, you posted a picture of Luke the other day. I was like, "Oh my god, I thought he was a baby. He's not a baby anymore."
I
It
know, he's
happened very
big.
fast.
Yeah.
Zooming out, this show is all about how life's endings can lead a new beginning. And today we've been talking all about adoption. Taking the big zoom out for you, Denise, what endings in your life have really just changed you the most? Now, we're getting
Ooh,
to the big questions. We're at the end so that I'm going to like drop the big questions.
yeah. So what endings?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, my parents they both transitioned. They passed on when I was in my early 20s, like my senior year of college, and then going into my job. So, I'd say that was probably the most life-changing thing that I've ever experienced, that I've ever gone through, and it was an ending. But I will say that the foundation that they laid in me allowed me to do things like say, "You know what? If I adopt a child, I'm gonna adopt a child. You get one life, you gotta do what you gotta do." And it also allowed me to take risk also just like even in my single life, like, "Hey, I'm going to Chicago to work for Oprah. I'm going to Atlanta to do this. I'm gonna go to New York and work for the," you know what I mean? Like, a lot of that ending kind of made me see life in a different way. One that was like, "Hey, tomorrow's not promised. You could be here one day and gone the next." So it kind of it was an ending that was a framework for the rest of my life. And really, enjoying each day, taking everything in or trying to enjoy each day, but really also not holding grudges, not being mad at people forever. Even in our business, even in the television business, it can be really crazy. I've never been one to like lose my mind, like in the
Yeah.
control room. Always been the calm one,
Yeah.
steady, even keeled. I know how to make a clear decision. And I think that ending helped me like subsequently in everything that I've approached. Really, it
Yeah.
has really, framed my whole life. So,
Well, and you're making me think about, just as I was listening to you talk, you were making me think about, there are people that we meet. For me, I love going to dinner by myself. I will take solo
mhm,
trips. If there's something I want to do, I go do it. And I was just listening you talk about the things that you've decided, I want to do this, I'm going to do it. You only get one life. And I think about we also encounter people that are hesitant to like go to dinner alone, or go to a movie alone. And I think what you're talking about is really an opportunity to live the life of your dreams and don't let like preconceived notions hold you back from doing something that is really important to you. You can
that's
do it.
right. That's right. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. And I'm like you. I like going to dinner by myself.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, I enjoy like, if I can't round up the troops to go do a whole bunch, I'm going anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I went to a candle making thing by myself.
Oh, that's so fun. That's
Yeah.
fun.
I was like, "I'm going to this place, I'm gonna make these candles," but I made friends while I was there. So, any interesting thing I can try or do, or like you said, even I've traveled solo to out of the country because, I mean, you just never know. If there's something out there you want to do, you gotta go for it. You gotta go, you gotta take
Yeah.
the risk and trust that if your inner spirit is, like, guiding you in this direction, there's, like, a reason, that it's pushing you to go do these things, and you can't really wait around for other people because other people have their own issues kind of formulating their walks. So you have to
Yeah.
kinda, like, move in your own space.
Yeah. I think there is something to listening to your heart. Sometimes your gut and your heart know things before your brain does. It's kind of like when you're looking for a story for something, there's like a pull there that maybe you don't understand at the beginning, and then it starts to all take shape and you figure it out and there's something to it.
Mhm. I agree.
I'm gonna drop an Oprah question on you because anyone that
Okay.
I talk to that used to work at Oprah, I drop it on them because A, they'll think it's funny, and B, I think it's interesting to ask you because I know you
Yeah.
scripted this for other people to answer. What do you know for sure?
Ah.
I'm sure Denise was like, "What are you gonna do to me here?"
Yeah. What I know for sure is, number 1, that God is real and that I feel like that my spirit has guided me throughout this journey of life, to where and has led me to where I am today as a, and it's gonna sound but as a mother, as a television producer, even working for Oprah and
Yeah.
all these other amazing journalists that I've worked for. I feel like that is all a part of my spiritual journey here on earth. And that is what I know for sure. And it has been enlightening. I can't say every day has been like roses and lollipops, but what I can say is that I am very, 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 very grateful for this life and for all the opportunities that I've been afforded, in this lifetime. It's been a great experience. It's been grand to kind of like walk on the earth and like see things unfold. And I have to say, like being a mother and navigating that has been like the highlight of the journey. Really is amazing. Like even with up and down days to just watch this unfold. So, I think back to like when Luke was like first born, like I feel like there's always these milestones you have to get to.
Yeah.
Um, like the sleep training and like like that
I
beginning
blacked
when
that
you're
out.
like I was like, "Oh my God," like the 3 hour, like I remember when I left the hospital and the doctors, they give you like they're like, "You're gonna have to feed the baby every 3 hours." And I was like, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta feed it every 3 hours. I'm like, okay, right. And then no sleep for
Is that when you
three
called your
months.
cousin? I was like, I think I need backup.
Yes, that's what she came right away. She came right away to Pennsylvania. It was hilarious. I was like, this is nuts. I was like, people don't even know what they're getting themselves into and they never talk about it. Right. I was
Someone
never
should tell
talking about
them.
it. And I was like, but the thing is that again, you get through each little hump, and then there's like another thing, and then you get through that, and then there's another thing but in between all that, there's like, you know, their cute little smiles and, the fun things you do with them at Christmas and their little pajamas and their little clothes. And then as they get older, I mean, it's just like it's amazing. It really, really, really is amazing. And it's definitely worth it. It's worth it.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Denise. It was so fun to catch up with you. I still remember these stories are so great with the people that are my friends in my personal life, because our guests are a mix of people that I'm meeting for the first time and people that I know. And I remember Denise and I worked, I think we worked together maybe for about 3 years, I think, on the
Mhm.
same team. If I remember
Mhm.
correctly, it was about 3 years. And I remember you talking about becoming a mom. So I remember that, and then I remember when you posted about Luke coming home, and I was just, like, so happy for you. And because
Aw.
we weren't talking every day at that time, so I didn't know that you were working on this. It was just, like, a
Yeah.
surprise, and it was just really exciting to see that.
Yeah, it was exciting for me too because it was like the Oprah Show was over already.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, like it was it was 2016. So like we
Yeah.
had been, done and gone. Everybody was on their own worlds, but we were all connected on social media,
Yeah. We have a
which
Facebook group for all the people that worked for Oprah. It's pretty funny.
it is good. I love it. I
Yeah.
love catching up.
Yeah. That was
So yeah,
yes. Yeah.
it's been good. It's been good. And I'm so proud of you, Heather, and how you've grown and evolved and just to see your growth journey on social media as well too. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I'm so happy to see you, and thank you for being here. Now if people want to follow you, work with you, I know you've got your own job, so I don't know if you're even looking for that, but if you are, where can
Yeah.
people find you? In addition to
Okay.
watching CNN headlines, do that.
Yes, yes, definitely watch CNN headlines is our it's the streaming channel for CNN. You can find it on platforms like Amazon Prime, Pluto, Tubi, so on and so forth. And then of course you can also go to CNN.com and you can click on the CNN headlines icon on CNN.com and stream it right from your phone. So shameless plug.
I love it.
But also, you can find me on Instagram at C Denise Hendricks, LinkedIn at Denise Hendricks on LinkedIn. I think those are the two best places. I am on Threads and Blue Sky and X and TikTok, but I would say the places where I'm most active are Instagram and LinkedIn. Those two places.
Oh, that's great. And I will link all of that in the show notes so that it's easy
Mhm,
for people to find you. Thank you,
mhm.
everybody out there that's listening. Thank you for listening to our show today, especially those of you who are on your own journey. We hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you have a good week.
Thank you.